Hello, everyone, and welcome to NTFWFCTC. Oh, fuck.
No, keep that. No.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to NTFWFCTC 1 STURP, Netflix's Transformers War for Cybertron Trilogy, Chapter 1, Siege, the Unofficial Recap Podcast, a subsidiary of the Can We Talk About podcast,
That's
a
right.
title so long that it does not fit in a YouTube video because it is longer than 100 characters. Kristen, how you doing?
Oh, is this how we start the podcast now? I'm doing okay.
I fix anyone who needs fixing. My name is Joe.
I'm not a real Decepticon. I'm Kristen.
Episode 3, then, Kristen, of a series that is only 6 episodes, and here we are 3 episodes in. The halfway point. We'll talk about.
Are we getting places? I don't even know if I can tell.
You hit the nail on the head pretty much there with are we getting places halfway into the series?
Well, I don't know.
Since all the episodes themselves, Kristen, are labeled as episode 1, 2, 3, and such, this episode being mostly about our friend Ratchet, I decided this episode will hitherto be called The Fixer.
I don't even remember. Oh, yeah, SOS the Fixer.
It's been so long since we've done normal Transformers.
Yeah, I forgot that was our joke of any episode is SOS. Whatever.
Episode 1, because it's about Bumblebee, will be The Scavenger. Episode 2, because it's about mostly Ultra Magnus, kinda, will be The Traitor, I guess.
I like that you stuck with the Seinfeld naming convention.
Yes, that's how you do it. Except for the first 2 episodes, of course, which were, I believe, Pilot and Good News, Bad News.
I never know what you want me to say when you pull out fun facts, Joe.
Also, Traitor might sound a little harsh for Ultra Magnus, but considering also as well we see Jetfire do a little traitory stuff in this episode, but it rolls off the tongue a bit more than the military commander who made a dumb decision.
We had an episode called Traitor, right? Yeah, it was the one with Mirage.
Yeah, with Mirage and Cliffjumper.
Yeah, so you gotta come up with something new, I'm sorry.
Either way, Kristen, we can ponder that in the meantime as we begin episode 3 here, hitherto known as The Fixer. We start, Kristen, with Megatron giving a big report. A eulogy, I guess?
From a very interesting worm's eye view side angle that a camera is pointing at him from. I guess there's like a reflector down there, like they didn't get a step ladder or something.
He's eulogizing Impactor here. The Autobots callously murdered Kristen. They fucking threw him in the trash. A true Decepticon patriot. The boss.
Wait, I'm saluting and crying.
So we see a familiar face here, Kristen, as we said Fixer, as it were, Ratchet.
Yeah.
Carrying a wagon full of pancakes behind him here. Picking up scrap metal and tossing it in. When he hears a little bit of grunting and groaning, and when he goes to move presumably a big piece of the building, we see Impactor here, the man being eulogized with a bunch of
I was right
rebar.
then. Jesus Christ, I thought he was a different person.
No, still the same guy. You can tell by his big yellow Spartan helmet.
Okay, so I am a genius, Joe. This is exactly what I was talking about in the last episode where I was like, I found his arm, he's dead. They didn't even look for him.
You might notice later, Kristen, he has a harpoon hand now.
I didn't. I love it.
Yeah, we have Impactor here, impaled on a bunch of shit. May as well call him Impaler.
I like that. I feel like there's like 10,000 different like person with a thing stuck through them references that I can make. Since we already talked about the boss, I'm going to go with it's Eva with the log sticking through her.
We get that later, too. Spinister gets impaled when Optimus fucking chucks him onto
There's
a big
a lot
piece
of
rebar.
Impaled robots this episode.
Impactor says to Ratchet here, Kristen, which I think he wants it to come off as a cool guy line, but it must be very confusing to Ratchet because it is, if you're here to kill me, you're too late.
And Ratchet's just like, huh?
And we get the intro.
Yep, there we go. I skipped it again. Don't really care.
So, Kristen, we join Optimus and Elita doing their favorite activity, which is walking in the hallway here.
They really don't know. I mean, I guess it's not like they could have them cooking dinner or washing dishes or something. What else are they supposed to do while they're chit-chatting?
It's very easy to, when you're working with a budget, Kristen, here we are. We've got the hallway set animated, so let's just pull the camera back a bit and kind of turn it to the side, and it'll look a little different since the last hallway set we used.
Where are they going? Who knows?
Well, Prowl is coming over here. He wants some more orders, and he asks, are we fighting or are we running? And Optimus, who was not asked this question, by the way, chimes in with a very dour, there will be nowhere to run soon enough.
I definitely feel like as I have aged and consumed more media, I'm way less tolerant of the being asked a genuine question and the...
Optimus has said almost nothing of note so far in the series. He is
like,
just
nothing he says means anything.
No, it's a lot of nebulous, floaty, like, hopeful kind of shit, or like...
It's like he's trying to get people to, like, cross-stitch every fucking sentence that comes out of his mouth.
You're not Yoda, dude. Fucking, like, be straight with your men here.
And this is where I got confused, because I saw Prowl, who is similar colors to Ratchet, and I was like, wait, was that not Ratchet at the beginning? I'm so confused. And I was like, do we even see Ratchet so far? So I did spend part of this episode a little bit confused. I need to trust my instincts more.
So we reset here that Megatron's looking for the Allspark, even though, again, we don't know that that's the... We know that that's the plan from a transmission that Ultra Magnus sent, but we as the audience know that because the last episode ended with Megatron saying, let's look for the Allspark.
Yeah, they're not getting into big specifics still about exactly what everyone's plans are. So the logic goes, he's gonna find the Allspark and control the entire planet with it. How? Don't worry about it. So Elita says no place on Cybertron would be safe. And Optimus is like...
This gives Optimus pause, and he thinks, what if we took Cybertron and pushed it to somewhere without the Allspark?
Or just took the Allspark away from Cybertron, which would probably be a little bit easier.
That works too, probably,
yeah.
Yes. Apparently this will kill the planet, however.
They don't tell us how or why.
And Optimus, again, just says something like, Cybertron dies if we remove the Allspark. We will not let that happen. Bro!
Dude!
You were the one who just said, let's take the Allspark off Cybertron. Wait a minute, let's not do that.
Also, I don't know what kind of manpower he thinks he has. If they can have, like, Team A be like, let's just grab the Allspark and put it somewhere else. He has zero plan at this point. We know Wheeljack will help him out later, thankfully, but he's just like, somewhere else. And, like, people will stay and, like, keep a little look-see out on Cybertron to make sure it doesn't start, like, blowing up or something. You know what would be the biggest tragedy in the world, Joe? If it stopped raining on Cybertron, all of their plant life would just die away.
We don't get to spend any time to, like, stew on this either, because we immediately cut to Starscream. And Kristen, I'd said to you, my episode preview to you was that Starscream is a Nazi in this episode.
A little bit. There's some, I guess, Decepticon master race rhetoric happening, and it's a little bit, hey, you get those words out of Starscream's mouth. He's an asshole. Don't make him a racist asshole.
Basically, what Starscream is doing here, he's whispering to a bunch of Seekers and barricades here for some reason, and he's just like, so I heard Megatron wants to turn all the Autobots into Decepticons, and I'm not on board with that, because they will sully our noble Decepticon warrior heritage.
You get me, right? I don't need to explain in more detail, because you understand already.
Can you imagine one of them as one of us?
What happened to that whole thing in the original cartoon? There was a time before Autobots and Decepticons even, and they are all actually the same thing. I guess we get some lore about, like, how it seems like the people who are Decepticons now were largely, like, slaves of some kind.
Yes, there's a lot, like, Decepticons purely built for, like, sort of construction-y kind of things, or war sort of vehicles, whereas Autobots are more, like, not that. So...
You know, it's always a really good look, Joe.
What's that?
Making the villains in your series former slaves. That's when you're like, yeah, that's right. Get rid of those evil former slaves. How dare they?
Well, Kristen, we don't even know what the old Autobots were like, other than that they were sipping Energon behind gilded walls, apparently.
That feels like a fucking drinking sweet tea in their plantations sort of thing. Also, sipping Energon, I got a big problem with.
Energon is consumable in most continuities now. So.
Is it slurpable?
It's a drink mixer? I don't know. It's also a drink mixer, I should say, in addition to being a main source of energy.
All right.
Either way, what Starscream's getting at here is Megatron merely reformatting the Autobots is incredibly weak, and they should exterminate all of them. And if I were in charge, and Jetfire comes out of the shadows here, we do the same thing from the first episode where people just walk out of the shadows in the middle of a conversation.
And they're like, I was listening this whole time.
Jetfire's like, your head's too far up your ass, Starscream. What the fuck? You're gonna die because of that.
I feel like in this episode we are continuously getting more of the, wait a minute, is that how you felt about this last episode sort of thing. It's all just so, and everyone's wrong about each other's intentions. Because you know who was supposed to be like a big cool guy who would never do anything wrong? Ultra Magnus.
Well, we'll get there.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Starscream, blah, blah, your ambitions will be your downfall, etc., etc. Jetfire, your loyalty will be yours.
Jetfire calls Starscream a tool.
He does, after Megatron walks in here and is just like, Starscream, shouldn't you be on patrol? And he's just like, oh, yeah, and then leaves.
Yeah, so whatever, I mean, I'm going right now.
Yes, so Megatron reminds Jetfire, Starscream has his uses, but at the end of the day, he's a weapon. And Jetfire goes, more like a tool. And then Megatron, not understanding, is just like, yeah, a tool, and he could be replaced.
It's like, no, I meant he's an asshole.
Back to the Autobots here, still hallway walking, and Elita is just dressing down Optimus, being like, Optimus, you're so fucking caught up on what if scenarios here, when, what are they supposed to do? We gotta do something.
Yeah, we need to have, like, active things that we're doing, otherwise nothing will happen. You are our leader, you know that, right?
And also, apparently, they're going with the let's move the Allspark off Cybertron thing, because then Elita asks, how are we supposed to get the Allspark off Cybertron? And in comes Wheeljack, doing what he should have done an episode and a half ago, saying, hey, space bridge.
Hey, great news. When I was out with that scavenger Bumblebee, we found a space bridge. And, Joe, it's still at this point where I'm like, okay, sure, this is about time for this to come up, whatever. But then it's still like, I don't understand the plan, Joe. Are they really just trying to be like, let's just get the Allspark so there's no way Megatron can use it? Because, like, even if we got to it first, we would still be under attack?
I'm assuming we're getting to the point of where the series started, of, like, the G1 cartoon, sort of, in that area where it's so, like, in order to save the entire Transformer race, they need to leave. Like, they need to get the MacGuffin here, the Allspark, and leave, instead of, they need to get energy for Cybertron, so they need to leave the planet, I guess.
Okay, I guess that makes sense. I don't know. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt, I guess, because I'm not going to get anywhere by continuing to ask questions to you, who has seen the same amount of this series as I have.
Wheeljack says that a space bridge is a little too advanced for him to fix, but there just happens to be a fixer whom this episode is named after, as a matter of fact, and he can help. And as Optimus is, like, getting really interested in this, Prowl is like, I don't know about this, dude. This seems like a bad idea.
No, it's fine. As usual, Wheeljack is just like, I'm ready to help. It's, I want to make a My Cousin Vinny joke. My Cousin Wheeljack.
Hey.
My Cousin Ratchet.
Yay.
I know all about space bridges. Don't ask me questions that don't have answers. That was a reference to My Cousin Vinny, which is a movie I have not seen.
And Kristen, worse than the plan sounding bad through Prowl's mouth, he says it's madness.
It's Sparta.
And she kicks Prowl down a pit. Woo! And it's 2005.
I wish I still had my air horn app. Wow, 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 wow. Sorry. So it's not madness or Sparta. Elita says it's desperation, which again does not feel like real dialogue to me. But whatever.
We cut to the Deceptidome here. Shockwave is reporting to Megatron that he
was in his cool chair again.
I did notice, yes, the Decepticon chairs this time. They were a lovely piece that he got from Decepticon IKEA.
I was going to say like Decepticon Wayfair.
Probably a bit more high class than Decepticon IKEA. You would think the leader of the Decepticons would shop.
Seriously, at least at Pier 1.
Barricade probably shops at Decepticon IKEA. But Kristen, Shockwave is here, and he is letting Megatron know that the methods that he is using to torture Ultra Magnus are not really making too much progress here, and Megatron is a little miffed at this.
Honestly, considering how relatively tame the torture is, and I say, tame torture, what a fucking oxymoron, am I right? It seems like what he had been doing is just being like, hey, Ultra Magnus, come on! Tell me!
I'll be your friend.
Stop keeping secrets, it's not fair!
Yeah, Megatron responds to this of Shockwave going, hey, you're imposing a lot of limits on my methods here by putting his fusion cannon in Shockwave's face and then powering it up.
I believe Jetfire is just over on the other side, and he's like, hey, Megatron. I think that's against company policy. You might not want to do that.
Megatron just says, fine, Shockwave, you can violate a fucking 1,000 Geneva Conventions for all I care. Just get the information that we need.
It works pretty well.
We cut to, all right, Kristen, rewatching the episode before recording here, the third time I'm watching the episode, it did not occur to me until this point here of this entire scene. What was the plan? Mirage comes over. A Decepticon-colored Mirage, which confused me, so it must have really confused you.
I just assumed that this was some Decepticon I didn't know, which is many of them in this series, walking up and being like, hi, it's me, what's going on? So then when he flickered, I was like, oh, that's clearly Mirage in a disguise. Gotcha.
So Mirage walks up to some Decepticons here, I think it's Spinister and Who Gives a Fuck, all just like, hey, hail Decepticons, I found an Autobot encampment, you want to go fuck it up? And Mirage, I guess, I don't know how his Mirage, air quotes Mirage, cloak disguise here works necessarily, but the Decepticons go, yeah, we want to add to our kill count. And there's a bunch of Autobots impaled on spikes. A lot of that this episode, like you said.
Yeah.
And this makes Mirage angry, presumably, and it makes his disguise flicker. And then from far away, like God knows where, Chromia is staring down these people with a scope, and she's like, oh, fuck, his disguise. And a battle starts, which we have no explanation as to why we're here. Why did they need to distract the Decepticons in order to get to Ratchet's fucking theater that they were going to? Like, why is this happening?
I guess they were just trying to clear people out or something. I maybe would have less issues with this if the plan got to play out a little bit longer before immediately going to absolute shit. I mean, I guess it's a good thing that they were like, let's all hang out on this ledge and stare really hard at what's going on down there just in case Mirage fucks it up.
But I don't understand, like, lead them away so they can go, maybe they gotta go past there? We didn't, like, a line of dialogue
karate chop the back of their necks, knock them out.
Anything would have been preferable of just, hey, Mirage, we need you to go distract those Decepticons so we can pass through here. That's all we needed. But we didn't get it.
I feel like there were better ways to do a lot of this, but whatever. We get shown Mirage doing his Mirage thing.
Mirage uses the Shadow Clone Jutsu here.
Whew, look at him go.
Weird, because Mirage using the Shadow Clone Jutsu is basically holograms, so what the fuck is Mirage doing stealing one of the only things Hound can do?
That didn't occur to me as weird at all until just now.
Mirage uses the fucking Shadow Clones here to fight a bunch of reflectors. And there's a point where a reflector kicks one of the Mirages, and it all kind of, like, dissipates.
He tries, like, to drop kick it, and he just goes straight through it and lands on his ass instead.
There's, like, a big entrance for Wheeljack at this point, too, where he kicks one of, like, either a Spinister or a fucking Reflector or something, and it's, like, a big hero shot, but it's just Wheeljack, and he doesn't, like, have a line.
Sometimes I also fight.
There's no reason that Wheeljack wouldn't have come along, so...
Could they at least have had him go, like, kick, pan up, ay, bada bing.
The Optimus throws Spinister onto a spike and he gets impaled. Turnabout is fair play, whatever.
Little rude.
A little rude as well, yes. I don't know if he's dead. Who cares, Spinister?
I guess it's only bad to throw people on spikes when the Decepticons do it. Do you notice they're, like, leaking purple later, too?
Yeah, they're...
Are they full of grape juice?
It's assumed that Autobots have some sort of lubricant in them or something that makes them, move. They're full of WD-40 or something.
I don't know if I would accept any explanation except it being, like...
hydraulic fluid.
Well, like a cooling system.
Or that, yeah, coolant, something like that.
We've had conversations about how, like, theoretically, I guess it makes sense that through operation, Transformers are hot. But we've never seen Spike put his hand on one and go, ow! So I don't know.
The Autobots win. That's the gist of the scene here. They gotta move, though, and Chromie and Mirage both look at the Autobots, but hey, we gotta leave, whatever.
Joe.
Yes?
They don't know for a fact that they're dead. We've seen so many people get impaled through spikes and they were fine.
Considering this episode started with Impactor being impaled on, like, 3 separate spikes and still being alive, but near dead, they could have potentially...
Go check the pulse.
Brought these dead Autobots to Ratchet, too.
Do you think there was maybe a cutscene where they were like, by the way, we found a lot of injured people? And, like, they don't even say anything like, we don't have time to do that right now, we gotta keep going. It's just, they're dead, let's leave.
So Kristen, Ratchet is holed up in a theater, and
they tell us this. I don't see it really. This is really a tell-not show.
Hey, Kristen, it's a Cybertron theater. How do you know what theaters look like on Cybertron?
I imagine they look like a theater.
Elita has a weird line here about, wow, it's hard to remember a time when arts and music were celebrated on Cybertron. And Optimus just throws in a complete fucking platitude of, this is the Cybertron we fight for. Like,
Okay.
Like, Optimus, if you don't have anything fucking constructive to say, if you're just gonna say weirdo fucking, like, inspirational poster shit, shut up.
Yeah, honestly, just don't talk or we're gonna stop bringing you along.
The leader. We're gonna stop bringing the leader of our people along.
We don't want to hear your shit anymore.
So Ratchet walks out from the shadows, Kristen, because apparently he blames Optimus for the reason that Cybertron is the way it is.
I'm inclined to agree with him at this point.
Since we don't know a ton about what's going on here.
It sure seems like Optimus is leading a violent rebellion against a big group of former slaves. I can understand being a little bit like, I feel like this could have been handled better.
It does seem that way, yes.
The Matrix of leadership hates slaves.
Wheeljack is immediately put on notice here by Ratchet because I told you never to bring anyone here.
So apparently he was like a mega pop star famous engineer or something, which I have a little bit of a because in my brain, Ratchet, Dr. Man.
Yeah.
Wheeljack Inventor Man.
They do seem, I don't want to say messed up here, because Red Alert got put into Ratchet's role, pretty much, as Doctor. And Ratchet is here in Wheeljack's role, and where does that leave Wheeljack?
Yeah, Wheeljack doesn't seem to do anything except be adorable, which that's fine. He's still getting lines and stuff, but Wheeljack is a lot more useful than I feel like the series is making him out to be. Very first episode, he was stumbling around like a fucking idiot while Bumblebee yelled at him. It's not fair.
Chromia mentions here, Kristen, that they even knew about Ratchet on Caminus, which is a completely different planet, which begs the question, what the fuck is Chromia doing here?
She was on spring break when the war started.
Oh, no!
I know, it's a bummer.
What a terrible fate, Jesus.
Some of us didn't want to be soldiers. We just wanted to get blasted on spring break. And that's the saddest story I've heard so far.
We get more of the, I don't want to be dragged into your war type.
He says that about 6 times before, at the end, he's like, okay, fine, tell me what's up.
This entire scene is, it's like the first time I was going through, I was just like, tell him about the space bridge. Tell him about the space bridge. Like, there just keeps being, like, Elita goes, wow, it's ironic that your weapons are now being used. And he's like, I know.
He's like, yeah, I get it. Jesus Christ. I kept waiting for, of course, the thing that did happen, because we are just, I don't know, what part of our body, like, waist deep in tropes at this point, halfway through the series, of, like, he's there and he fixes up anyone who needs it. There's going to be Decepticons there, too.
And as it turns out, Impactor is here, and Elita gives a very snide, you fix Decepticons here? Ugh.
They're not making me like Elita anymore. I understand I'm already, I guess I would say biased. I kind of dislike her unfairly, perhaps. Maybe a little bit of a Rio situation. Who can really say? It's not that bad. But, like, every single thing that seems, I guess, any course of action that is, like, mildly altruistic, she just kind of, like, spits on the ground at. That's not really endearing.
Also, Ratchet has the gun pointed at them at this point to fucking leave. I don't want to hear Optimus' stupid platitudes anymore. Please leave. And Mirage jumps out, looking like he's going to use his fucking shoulder missile, which is when Impactor finally shows up here and, like, tackles him. And as I said, Impactor has a harpoon hand now, so.
So that's pretty cool. I wonder if he could use that as a stylus also.
Now, Kristen, Impactor gives us a little bit of insight on the lead up to the war here. He was predetermined to work in the mines, slave, and until he was, like, shut down or he died, while the Autobots sipped Energon behind their gilded walls. So, what I'm seeing from my perspective here, the Autobots were the bourgeoisie, and Megatron sees the means of production. That sounds like that's what happened.
Seems like the only thing they were missing were some guillotines.
Weird. Alita's Marie Antoinette. I never thought.
Let them eat oil cake.
Whoa! That's far too smart a joke. God damn it. far too much of a like digging. Like, man, oil cake was a long time ago.
Yes, it was, and it's stayed in my brain ever since. I don't want it there. It won't leave.
I do like Optimus goes, that's enough. And Impact is like, you don't fucking order me around, Prime.
Yeah, he's like, fucking excuse me? That's a really good way to make peace with Impactor, is have the person he was just saying was his oppressor telling him to fucking stop it. I bet he would take that really well.
Be a little more kind-hearted, open up a palm and be like, no, it wasn't all of us like that. We're trying to fight for a better Cybertron.
He's like, hey, shut up, slave.
Ratchet goes, stop fighting, leave, and finally Wheeljack is like, actually, we gotta tell you about the space bridge.
Except he doesn't say the fucking word space bridge. He's like, wait. Just listen to what we have to say. I really thought he was going to be like, we got to ask you about the space bridge. Because I thought that would be kind of like the thing that gets them their like nice little comfortable, tense allyship with Ratchet. But it turns out to be more about the Allspark part of the plan.
Yeah, we cut away from that as we see just Ultra Magnus is still being tortured here. He's got a bunch of fucking electricity going all over him. Megatron, Shockwave, and Jetfire are here.
Doesn't that also fix people in this universe? I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said anything.
Still not getting anything out of Ultra Magnus, and Shockwave, for some reason, even though he got the go-ahead, is like, well, I could torture him harder, I guess.
Megatron's like, whatever. So, like, this whole entire Metal Gear Solid torture sequence that's going on, whoa, another Metal Gear reference, is just him going like, where's the fucking Autobots? Hey, dude, where's the fucking Autobots? And him just going, no.
Yeah, Ultra Magnus reaches out to Megatron and be like, don't be like those who we rose up against.
Is this really not the sort of thing that... Okay, Joe. Again, I know this is probably pedantic and it's stupid of me for even saying it. But they got computer brains. Just open them up and take a look in there.
I believe it was Red Alert last episode who said they could hack his brain module.
Yeah.
Why don't they just do that?
I know, right? So you don't bring these things up if you're just going to ignore them later.
Because Magnus will kill himself. Cool, all right. I
yeah,
feel like
so I think we've determined that's not the case this episode.
If he had the ability to, I feel like he would have already.
Yeah, I kept wondering if that was going to come up again. But nah, a little bit later, spoiler alert, he just gives in to torture like a baby man. And he gets the Otacon ending. Metal Gear.
Hey, at least he gets the active camo.
Yeah, it's
whatever
fine.
the fuck that's called.
Stealth camouflage.
Thank you. The active camo is the Metal Gear Solid 4 thing.
Yes.
Jetfire isn't too on board with the torture here. Jetfire is...
So someone has some morals suddenly. Mr. I cut off my ally's hands is like, let's not hurt people for no reason.
We got pieces of that in the first episode, where as the reason that he cut off Starscream's arm, as the, hey, let's give him a second to... We'll get to that later. Either there's an incredibly stupid scene has to happen first here.
Yes.
So Ultra Magnus is dropped down from his restraints or whatever and manages to pull a gun off of a Seeker and start firing on people as Megatron and Jetfire are like walking away. And Ultra Magnus goes, Megatron! And he points the gun at him, and Megatron, knowing Ultra Magnus, is just standing there, and Ultra Magnus is like, turn to face me, because Megatron knows that Ultra Magnus won't shoot him in the back.
He's too honorable to shoot him in the back. Wow, that is a really... What's the word I'm looking for? Let's just go with stupid character flaw.
I was gonna say, it's understandable, I get, to an extent.
Yes.
Like, when Megatron says to him after he gets, like, Jetfire cuts the gun and pushes Magnus over and they get him back in handcuffs, and Megatron's like, you could have ended the war right there. Like, that alone should have been like, Ultra Magnus, you fucking idiot.
Joe, I am personally against murder. Would I kill Hitler? Yes.
Would you shoot Hitler in the back if you had the chance?
I think I probably would. I haven't had that long to think about it, so who knows what my opinion is. That seems like the sort of thing where it's like, Ultra Magnus seems like he wants peace of some kind. He won't kill Optimus. He won't kill Megatron. Who will you kill? Not even yourself.
And you were the military commander?
He's not really... And he's just as useless as Optimus. Did all of the actual commanders of the Autobots die, and this is just who's left?
Megatron also caps off the scene by saying to Jetfire, let this be a learning moment for both of us. Always take the shot.
That sounds like Jetfire's going to shoot Megatron later.
That sounds like that's the setup, but he shoots Skywarp instead. He can't shoot the top dog, so he'll shoot, like, the 8th ranked Decepticon.
It's a really shitty thing to do. Skywarp is finally around and doing stuff, and he's like, nice, and I'm also, like, leading the plot forward. And then, pew, ow!
Back to Ratchet and the Autobots here. Ratchet has what I thought was a surprising reaction of, you want me to fix a space bridge? Like, I thought the space bridge was like, oh yeah, that might work. Like, that kind of... I guess it lends to the plan being desperate, or like, you know, desperate times call for whatever. But then they mention the Allspark, and Megatron's going to use the Allspark to wipe out life on the planet or whatever.
Yeah, Ratchet does tell them their plan is stupid a couple of other times, but Mr. Healer, layer of hands, speaker in tongues, sure, faith healer, Ratchet, is against the idea of the source of life for Transformers being used to basically kill everyone and destroy their race. So he's like, okay, I kind of feel obligated to get that off of the planet. So I guess I'll help with your stupid fucking plan.
Yeah, that's enough to implore him to reconsider here. And as they're on their way back to where all the, like, the patients are on the main floor, because they were up on the upper deck, they were in the opera seats for some reason.
Yep.
When they come back down, Mirage is just kind of staring at Impactor from far away. And Ratchet goes, what, you never seen a Decepticon help an Autobot before?
They're in this little, like, nursing community, and because Impactor is well enough to be up and around, he is helping other injured Transformers. Because it seems like maybe there's some nuance to this character that we've only known for this episode.
And Mirage goes, no, I haven't seen it before.
So at least he says what he means. Take notes, Optimus.
And Kristen, to remember, Impactor was in the last episode and a building fell on him.
Yeah. There could have been a whole thing where Mirage looked at that situation and went, I've seen a lot of things.
If Mirage, I don't remember if Mirage was at the battle last episode that had Impactor in it, but that could have been like I've seen, like, this guy yesterday tried to kill us, and suddenly you want me to trust him? That doesn't happen either way. So Ratchet goes to Impactor and he's like, since you're the guy who's up and walking around the most, you're in charge of all the patients, I gotta go help Optimus. And Impactor goes, whoa! Help Optimus?
He's like, you do realize he's the reason a building fell on me, right? But there is some stupid shit with, okay, I don't agree with Megatron's plan. That's why Ratchet's going, and Impactor is suddenly a lot more of a middle-of-the-road kind of dude in this conversation.
You talk about dialogue that doesn't feel like dialogue. Impactor, I say impassioned, I don't know. The voice actor for Impactor is kind of weird, but he goes, no more factions. I swore an oath to protect Cybertron and its people, not to the Autobots, not to the Decepticons, but to myself.
I feel like they could have delivered this information in a slightly better way of, oh, maybe he didn't know about the plan to reformat everyone. Who knows? I don't fucking know. And he hears about it and he's like, hey, you know what? That sounds like slavery. I don't like that.
And hey, being a former slave himself, he's like, no, why? That shouldn't be the way that Megatron does this. But the scene with Mirage and shit earlier in the episode, that was too important, Kristen. We needed some action in this episode, so let's just cut all the stuff that might help turn Impactor a bit more. No,
it's fine. Don't worry about it. So he decides that he's going to go along to make sure Ratchet gets back in one piece, which is nice. Cool.
And everyone's on board with this, except for, well, I say except for Optimus. He says, like, yeah, sure, and then he leans down to Elita and goes, don't take your eyes off him.
And the transition from this scene to the next scene that we see this group in is very confusing and jarring, but, we'll get there.
So we cut to Ultra Magnus here, and he is getting fried by red electricity now, Kristen.
Whoa.
That's how you know it's super torture.
I did not know that Shockwave was such a cold bastard.
I expected Ultra Magnus to start getting fucking taken apart piece by piece.
I was gonna say that! Like, come on, just start unscrewing him.
Take off his shoulder pylons and he'll go, no!
Oh, we find out later those are his weak point. Who would have thunk it?
Still not getting anything out of him here. Shockwave turns up the electricity even more somehow.
Higher.
And
more of whatever this is.
Pieces of Ultra Magnus start getting fucking crushed, including one shoulder pylon. And finally, Ultra Magnus goes, I'll talk. I'll tell you where Autobot Command is. Oh.
And so we don't see how this plays out, but unless this is some kind of ruse that we will find about next episode. Optimus, didn't you say that Ultra Magnus would never talk?
You could find the Autobots at the corner of Eat And my dick, boom!
Woo! That's the guy we know and love.
And then they immediately kill him.
Like, I'm sick of this shit. I don't want to listen to this anymore.
Cut back to the Autobots. They are up to a certain place, and then Elita stops here, presumably...
Are they, like, outside the fucking theater or something? We don't get any idea how far they are from where they started.
I just, like, Elita being the person to facilitate this makes me think that Optimus kind of leaned over and was like, look, they're not going to like it if I do it, so you do it.
The way they make it seems like they're outside of the place where the space bridge is, honestly. And now she's like, okay, now that we're here, hey.
Yeah, they get pretty close to the door or whatever the fuck, the invisible wall, whatever. And Elita says, we can't go any further until Impactor turns off his comm. And Impactor goes, look, I understand. I will do it. And they treat this essentially as... I don't want to say castration, because that feels a bit too harsh.
Maybe, like, cutting his tongue out or something?
Sort of. It's like Ratchet is disgusted by the idea of taking out a Transformer's comm. So, Lord knows what this allegory, whatever, this is...
I guess at that point you can view it with a lot more certainty as them, like, holding him hostage.
That's fair, yeah.
Because he can't go ask for help at this point. He's not their companion. He's someone that is at their mercy.
So it's basically just an e-cigarette.
Yeah, they push his head and a little tray comes out.
And then they toss it aside and, oh, look at that. It was actually activated.
Was that supposed to be the thing? Like, they showed in the shot blinking like it's, whoa!
I'm assuming, considering we immediately see Skywarp and Jetfire get this comm here, I'm guessing that Impactor meant to betray them at some point? I don't know. We'll have to see.
Why wouldn't they have made him take out his comm a lot sooner?
They needed to wait until they were 3/4 of the way to where they were supposed to go, I guess.
I guess so. Don't worry about it.
So, Jetfire and Skywarp land. Skywarp uses
What if he's just worried that this big group of former slavers is going to kill him?
Skywarp is able to find that all of the Autobots are in one place here, and he's like, oh man, Megatron's gonna give us such a big reward, and it's gonna be great, and we're gonna murder all of them. And Jetfire goes, I would prefer if we asked them nicely if they would come along with us, actually.
Okay, is it they go over... Where the fuck are they heading? So, are they taking Impactor to the Ark?
I felt like there was the invisible wall there, so it may have been the Ark. I thought they were going straight to the space bridge.
I thought so too, but it looks like what Jetfire and Skywarp found is the Ark.
I'm uncertain at this point. We'll have to find out.
They seem pretty happy about it. But yeah, whatever. The implication is this is a big boon for the Decepticons. And Skyfire is so excited. Not Skyfire. Skywarp. The other one.
The other Sky.
The other Sky.
And this baby method in Skywarp's eyes gets Jetfire punched and knocked over. And Now I'm fucking doing it, goddammit. And Skywarp goes, Starscream was right about you. You're a baby!
Baby man! So yeah, Jetfire would prefer to be like, hey, can we like, hey, Autobots, we found you, so like, just give up. Instead of just going in and killing everyone. He, as we know, Jetfire, not into genocide.
No, not necessarily. And when Skywarp says he's going to go report to Megatron, Jetfire takes Megatron's advice and takes the shot and shoots Skywarp, which is apparently a killing blow, enough to, like, it hits him in his wing.
It looks like it's not that bad. It looks like he gets, like, I don't know, slapped from behind, or like a paintball gun hit him, and he's like, but he manages to fly away and get all the way to Starscream with it.
Yeah, his initial reaction of, traitor! And
I thought he was going to straight up kill him.
And Jetfire going, I'm sorry. Like, it didn't seem like it was that deadly of a blow, but then Skywarp flies off here.
If that kills Skywarp, this show is maybe as stupid as the original.
We get some more Megatron speeches here as the episode is on its way to the end, of him saying that the Autobots are looking to destroy the Allspark here. At the very source of the Autobots will stop at nothing. They'll destroy the source of our life, the holiest of Cybertronian relics.
I heard that the Autobots don't recycle.
Megatron says that he enlists all of the Decepticons in the search for the Allspark here, and...
I'm not going to tell you where to start, just kind of, I don't know, do your best.
There are some Seekers that are gunning down Autobots in the rain here, which, Kristen, you asked me the very important question of why is it raining on Cybertron?
Why is it raining on Cybertron? I feel like that. I don't know a lot about science. We've been over this multiple times. I feel like the presence of rain implies the presence of a lot of different elements that do not make sense to be on Cybertron.
Considering Cybertron is mostly metal, from what I can tell, it seems like it would be difficult for rain to be possible.
I guess we don't know if it's water rain. Maybe it's weird metal rain.
Either way, Skywarp, falls into Starscream's arms here.
Ooh.
And goes, Jetfire, betrayed! And then he dies.
He better not. He got, it's like someone whipped him too hard with a baseball. He's fine.
A broken rib, walk it off.
Ow. And that'll bruise later, but you'll be fine.
Megatron's speech gets more intense here. The war will be ended, and they will all be one. Till all are one. Hey, the Decepticons can use that too. Wow.
It's almost like it sounds a little bit fashy.
And that's the end of the episode.
And Bumblebee was nowhere.
No, my last note was, where was the yellow boy?
He's just walking around with a big pocket full of high-octane energon or whatever. Is he having a picnic with it? Is that his new best friend?
From what I understood, Bumblebee was referred to as the de facto protagonist of this story, and considering he has now missed out on 1/3 of the series since he last spoke, I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, because when I was looking at the Wikipedia page just for different things of, what characters are in this, blah, 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 the Wikipedia page was able to tell me, oh, this character, and they are in this many episodes. So I was like, oh my god. Oh, Starscream is in all 6 episodes. Whew. Okay. That's all I care about. It's very weird that Bumblebee didn't show up, at all. And I guess, there was other stuff that, if we had to swap stuff around, I would prefer them to go into slightly more depth on things that we did actually see, instead of being and also, what's up with Bumblebee? I assume he's gonna save the Autobots in the next episode, right? What else can he do?
Potentially, he might be hanging around that exact same area from the first episode that he was in, perhaps.
Maybe it's gonna turn out they need a lot of high-octane energon to power the space bridge, and he's going to be like that. I have great news. I got that right here.
Even though Bumblebee was told explicitly in the first episode to go somewhere else because the Decepticons know who he is now and they're going to murder him. But whatever.
No one listens to each other in this show. Why should Bumblebee? He's not part of the group.
So, reviewing this one, I feel like not meandering. That seems like it's too harsh. There was, wherever the story was going, we're either not getting there fast enough or I don't care at this point. This is a low point in the story interest-wise, but it could obviously pick up in the next 3.
Yes, it was definitely one of those things where, how do I feel about this compared to the last episode? The last episode was very similar in actual plot content, but at the same time, I got to see Shockwave using his gun as a stylus on a tablet, so that was pretty fucking cool. I really liked that.
So overall, I'm crossing my fingers that it doesn't just keep going down from here, but I would like it to pick up in the next episode or so.
I mean, we have to get some kind of, climactic battle or something, right?
At this point, like we said, where Megatron versus Optimus was a once-an-episode thing in the G1 cartoon, I'm tired of it. I want to see something else.
No, yeah, I agree. I don't know if we're going to get our wish, though. I won't be happy until I see a 3D model human boy in this show. That's what I'm waiting for now.
With a yellow hard hat.
Yes. And a dad. With a hard hat.
Now's the point in the evening where we'll list off all of the fun contact things, where you can find us. You can follow us on the Twitter machine at cwtapod.
You can follow me at Marina Kazam.
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, on SoundCloud, on Stitcher Radio, on the YouTube, even. Leave a rating, give a review, do whatever you feel like. You can also drop us a line, cwtapod@gmail.com, where you can tell us all about how to make a proper Decepticon disguise and if a harpoon hand is any more useful than a gun hand.
Are we supposed to believe they don't have enough hand parts lying around to reattach that? It's not like he's a human and you can't just slap other machinery on him.
That's entirely possible, that they just don't have a normal looking hand. They've got a... We can give you this red hand if you want.
We can give you Junko's hand, but you are going to have red nails.
I'll take the harpoon, thank you.
I would take the Junko hand.
That will be all for episode 3 of this adventure. Join us again for the next installment of NTF WF CTC 1 STSURP.
More of that is in the mail.